let us start. During introduction, you can switch on the videos.
Okay, I'll switch on.
Yes. Good morning, friends. Welcome back after the tea break. And the next speaker of the today's session is Professor Atul Andhare. Professor Atul Andhare has obtained his PhD from IIT Bombay. Prior joining VNIT Nagpur, he has a lot of experience working at IIT Bombay and SVNIT Surat. His major research includes the machine vibration and also manufacturing, actually, particularly machining. So he has guided almost 7 PhDs and one is 4 are under progress. He has guided around 30 MTech students and he has more than 75 research publications under his credit. Professor Andhare was the Associate Dean Training and Placement at VNIT in Nagpur. And he is a national level expert for engineering graduates, for tracer study of engineering graduates at for the TechWhip Institutes for the year 2015. Also, he was the coordinator for GATE JAM exam for 2012 for Nagpur and Wardha regions. So, with this few words of his introduction, so may I request Professor Andhare to share his thoughts about the condition monitoring aspect of manufacturing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Gupta.
Yes, sir.
Shall I switch off my video now?
You can switch off your video.
Keep it on.
Yes, sir. No, you can switch off the videos. No problem.
Fine. So thank you for introduction. So for today, the topic that I am going to discuss, actually there are two parts I will be discussing. One is vibration and acoustic emission based tool condition monitoring, because we are talking of monitoring in manufacturing. So I will not be going into pure condition monitoring, which is basically for maintenance purpose. So monitoring for the manufacturing. So one of the important element in manufacturing, particularly machining, is the cutting tool. So we'll be discussing something about the monitoring of tool, that is called as tool condition monitoring, and then few case studies or few research work that have done that will be discussed, which relates to basically manufacturing again. So manufacturing of gearbox and machining and all that. So for this talk on the tool condition monitoring, I'll be basically looking at what is meant by TCM, that is tool condition monitoring. What are the various types of vibration in machine tool, because vibration is one of the most important parameter, you can say, for monitoring. Then acoustic emissions, then how we measure the vibrations or AE. Then in any condition monitoring, once you acquire data or once you acquire signal, we go for signal processing to extract the information. So something about signal processing we'll look at, not in much detail because we don't have that much time. Then if you want to apply some specific data classification technique like neural network, we have to go for selection of particular features. So feature selection in short we'll discuss. And based on your data classification, we can diagnose or we can make a decision about the condition of the tool. And some basic conclusions of this that we'll see. So if we look at the manufacturing now, again, as we are dealing with tools, cutting tools, so maybe machine tools we will talk of. So all the manufacturing is basically going towards the complete automation. So fully automated factories are now a reality. So complete automation is the trend that is going on. So in this complete automation, so obviously we need to maintain or we need to monitor not only the machine but the process also. So from that point of view, this tool condition monitoring is one of the important aspect, because in machining, life of the tool is basically a limiting factor, and frequent replacement of the tool is required. So knowing that how much the tool has worn out, when it will need replacement, that becomes important. So from that point of view, this is one of the important topic. We need to minimize rejections in the manufacturing, particularly again machining. So from that point of view, because bad tools will cause bad workpieces, so that rejection will happen. We also need to improve the production, because more the tool life that you get, or more your tool will last, you will get higher production, higher rate of manufacturing, because your replacement time will be saved. We also get better quality if you have a good tool. We need to improve reliability of the manufacturing process, because once you have a particular tool and say workpiece set parameters are there, then we should be sure that whatever quality you are getting, that is correct. So from that point of view, that is important. And basically all condition monitoring is basically used for all these purposes, because as I've said, manufacturing will not only involve the cutting tools, it will involve the machines also. So condition monitoring of the machines also is an important part in this. We are focusing a small portion of that, that is tool condition monitoring. So as we look at the condition monitoring in manufacturing, there are various aspects, as I have said. Machinery health. So whatever machine you are using, whether you are using a lathe machine, you are using a press tool, or you are using a laser setup, anything that you are using, health of the machine is important. So from that point of view, we look at then diagnosis of various problems in the machine, whether there is a problem in gear, whether there is a problem in bearing, or some belt drive, or some lubrication problem is there. So all those problems we have to identify, that is called as diagnostics. And performance of the machine. So overall performance should be good. That means we want to run the machine without much problem, and problem should be identified beforehand. Then there are tools and tooling. So we are focusing on tool. So how much the tool has worn out, whether there is proper lubrication or proper cutting fluid is there or not, and alignment, and all those aspects can be covered in tools and tooling. Then we need to monitor the workpiece also. That is whether the geometry is correct, whether there is surface finish is proper or not, surface texture is good or not, tolerances that you are getting. So all these aspects can be checked or can be monitored in manufacturing. And we also need to monitor many times the process. So if you again talk of machining, how the chip formation is going on, whether it is correct, whether it is creating any problem of vibration, temperature, whether it is coming in within limit or not. So all these aspects need to be monitored in the condition monitoring. And as I said, we are focusing on only one of the element of that, that is tool, cutting tool. Now, why TCM, or why tool condition monitoring? Why the topic is important, that we know that this is one of the important element in machining. It is going to affect quality and quantity both, because surface finish etc. will be determined by the quality of the tool. Quantity, because frequent stoppages, whether you are needing, so whether it will halt the production for some time and rate of production will be reduced, or all that will be affected by the tool condition. Tools are relatively costly, because you have nowadays various tools like carbide tools, various coatings are there, and relatively the cost of the tool is significant is there. Setup times are more. If you are using a CNC machine and you need to change a tool, for example, then you have to set up the tool, you have to set the zero, machine zero, and all that. So the setup time is large there in all modern machine tools, and every replacement of tool will need some adjustment on the machine, and that is going to take time. So we want to minimize the tool replacement. That's why this is important. what is happening in conventional practice, we know that the tool is replaced well before its failure, and even that happens in maintenance also. I have shown a graph on the right hand side here. Now this condition that is shown here on the y-axis, deterioration of the condition. So that may be a tool condition, that may be a machine element, that is a gear, bearing, or a belt, or a pump, anything that you talk of, and running time. So how much time it is running. Now if you are saying that normally the condition will deteriorate over a period of time gradually, but after certain point or at certain stage, you will find the deterioration is very fast after that time, and failure will be happening later on. Somewhere here you can see the failure being marked. So from the point, basically this is a part of a bathtub curve. Any wear that happens will be happening like this. So once you see the condition getting deteriorated, so at this point the curve starts rising, until it fails, you get sufficient time. So this is called as a lead time. And during this lead time, one can take some corrective action. So if it is a maintenance purpose, you can replace some part. You can improve the life of the machine. You can plan your shutdown and all that. So same thing happen in case of the tool also. You can plan your replacement, and before the workpieces get damaged or before the loss is too much, you can replace the tool, and again you can get good quality workpieces. And one of the important aspect that also happens is you need to use complete tool life. So you are not replacing tool before it fails. So many times what happens in conventional practice, that you replace the machine component or you replace the tool before it is actually failed, or it has actually failed. You can still use it for some time, but you replace it earlier. So that much additional time that you are having for complete use, that is wasted. So you need to completely use the tool life. That's why tool condition monitoring will become important. As I said, tool life is one of the limitation in complete automation of manufacturing, because you have to frequently replace the tool. That frequency actually we want to reduce, and therefore this TCM or tool condition monitoring is important. Now conventionally, when you are replacing the tool, how we decide? Basically on the experience, or you know this equation, velocity into the tool life to the power n is constant. That is Taylor's tool life equation we call. You can use different forms of this equation. So based on your cutting condition, V is the cutting speed. Based on the cutting condition that you are using, you can decide how much a tool will last, because this relationship tells you that this V t to the power n is going to remain constant. So for given tool, this relationship will be valid at every cutting condition. So using this, you can find out at particular velocity or particular cutting condition what will happen to the tool life. So approximate tool life you know, and you can replace the tool after that time interval. And you try to find out the optimum tool life and all that. So those who have learned this optimization of the cost of the manufacturing process, this equation is used basically for optimizing the cost and all that. But here there is no monitoring. You are not monitoring the condition of tool. So you know that tool has failed, and how we decide the criteria for failure, that is either a crater wear or the flank wear. So based on particular wear level that is reached, we decide that the tool is worn out. But the sensorless TCM that is called will not involve any sensor for monitoring. We are interested in this part, it is called as sensor based. That means you use some kind of sensor. That sensor may be anything. It may be vibration sensor, it may be acoustic sensor, it may be force sensor, it may be a vision system which sees the condition of the tool. So anything can be there. Now, so we have various sensors which are coming in over a period of time. So continuous development is going on. So this tool condition is monitored based on your criticality of the operation or the process that you are doing. You may be monitoring it continuously or maybe periodically after a certain time. That can happen. So if you look at the various machine tools, or now this is showing a schematic of some sensors in machine tools. There are lot many sensors which can come with the machine tool. The figure is not very clear, but possibly you can see how many number of sensors are there. That is speed sensor, current sensor, torque sensor, AE sensor, vibration sensor. So many sensors are there on the machine, and you can get the good idea of the machine condition if you are taking data or information from the sensor. So just few sensors I have listed here: vibration or AE, capacitive pickups. There can be vision systems, motor current. There can be surface roughness monitoring. Some imaging system can be there. Ultrasonic monitoring can be there. Temperature monitoring, or various sensors are there depending on the requirement. Now, when you are talking of using a sensor on a machine tool, because you are now interested on in machining, what we look at? So, what kind of sensor should be there? What we are interested in, we want to measure whatever you want to measure. Say temperature is there, vibration is there, sound is there, or acoustic emission is there. That should be measured as close to the machining point as possible, because wherever that cutting is actually taking place, at that location or close to that location, we want to measure various parameters. One of the important requirement, if you are using any sensor, particularly from the point of view of vibration, static and dynamic stiffness should not get affected. Machine tool stiffness should not get affected because of mounting of your sensor. Basically, that means the sensor should not be too heavy. It should not alter the characteristics of the machine tool, because that will affect the vibration behavior of the machine tool. There should be no restriction of the working space. So working space should be sufficient on the machine. It should be wear and maintenance free. Sensor should not require frequent maintenance, easy to replace, cost should be low. Though the machining conditions that normally we encounter are quite harsh. If you look at this point, there are chips, there are high temperatures, there are cutting fluids, and along with the workpiece, some oxides and all those things will be there, dirt, etc. will be there. So all the sensor that you are going to use should be resistant to all these harsh conditions which are there in machining. And it should function independent of the tool or workpiece. Whatever is the tool, whatever is the workpiece, your sensor should give you proper information. Correct data should be provided. Adequate metrological property, that means measurement related properties of the sensor should be sufficient enough. So sufficient accuracy that you want, that should be obtained. So if you want to do this tool condition monitoring, the first step that you want to do or that is required is selection of a sensor and its positioning on the machine where you want to locate it. So sensor selection, as I've said, most popular will be vibration sensor, that is some kind of accelerometer or some AE sensor. And where you want to locate it, so whether you want to keep it directly on the tool or tool holder and all that, so that will be decided. Once you get that sensor, you'll be getting some data from the sensor, and once you obtain the data, so basically you have to condition the data. Signal that you are getting, that has to be conditioned. So you want to remove some noise from the signal. Maybe you need amplification of the signal, and then you want to process it to extract the desired information. That is called as signal conditioning and processing. So you may be needing some hardware instruments, or maybe some software you are using to condition this. You may be needing some filters also. Then you obtain or you extract certain features from the signal. So maybe some time related features, maybe frequency related features. So some information you want to extract from the signal. So the parameter that you extract should be the parameter which tells you about the condition of the tool. Now we are talking of tool, so it should be telling you condition of the tool. If you are interested in something else, so that parameter should tell you condition of the, say, gear or spindle bearing. So depending on the requirement that you are having. After getting the features, you have to find out which feature is wear sensitive for the tool. So when the tool is wearing out, how the signal is changing, whether that is changing sufficiently, and all that will matter. So wear sensitive sense this feature you have to extract, and then using that feature you may model it, or you may apply some data classification technique to establish the relation between the selected feature and the tool wear, and which can give you idea whether the tool has worn out or at what level it has worn out and all that. So first we look at the vibration in the machine tool, why it happens, then what types of vibrations are there in machine tool, because vibration is one of the most popular parameter for monitoring conditions of machines and the processes also. And in machine tool, basically vibration is important both for the machine tool condition monitoring as well as the tool monitoring. So if you look at the causes of vibration in machining particularly, one of the important reason is the inhomogeneous nature of the workpiece. Now whatever workpiece you take, you say it is a workpiece of say carbon steel, then throughout the length of the workpiece, you may not have uniform properties of the workpiece. So theoretically, we say that it has tensile strength so and so, it has this ultimate limit so and so, but that is average value. Actually, from point to point, there will be a difference in the strength of the material because the composition also is not uniform, the hardness is not uniform. So all there will be inhomogeneous nature of the workpiece. So this will cause changes in the cutting action and the cutting forces. So inhomogeneous nature of the workpiece will cause vibration because the forces will change. So once the force changes, the response of the system will change, and that will cause vibration in the system. Then there will be variation in the chip cross section as there is some force which has changed. Because of that, there will be variation in the chip thickness that is produced, and as soon as the chip thickness is varied, again the forces vary, and there is a vicious cycle there. So these are all interdependent things, and continuously that will happen. Then there will be disturbances in the tool or workpiece drives. For example, if you take a lathe machine, so you have a headstock in the lathe machine, there is some gearing inside and all that. So disturbance in the drive. So maybe there is some problem in the gear that has happened that has caused disturbance. Now that disturbance will be transferred to the spindle, and that will be again transferred to the workpiece. So whatever motions are there, whether it is motion of the tool or the workpiece, some changes in that drive. So it is not, you expect the this rotation should be uniform, but because of the variation in the supply frequency, variation in the current, maybe there is some change in the rotational speed. So all such disturbances are going to be there. Then there can be dynamic loads due to acceleration or retardation of the machine. When the tool is engaging, you go fast, then after engagement, it has to cut at constant speed and all that. So this acceleration retardation will be always there, and that will cause inertia forces. Then there can be vibration from the environment. So in the shop floor, you may have certain other machines which are running, and that will cause vibration coming from the base to the machine. And the last category that comes, that is called as the self-excited vibration or the chatter. So this is basically because of the cutting process. Cutting process and machine tool, their interaction. So this is called as self-excited vibration or chatter. So the cutting process has certain features and machine has certain properties, certain stiffness, certain damping, and interaction of the process with the machine. So process generates some forces. Those forces act on the machine. Those forces will cause some deflections in the machine. Those deflections will cause variation in the cutting depth of cut that you have taken. And again, that depth of cut is changed. That means your force will change. So this goes on. So there is interaction between the machine tool and the cutting process that is being done. And that will cause some vibration, or that may cause, because it is not that always this interaction will result into chatter. Sometimes it will cause more vibration, sometimes the vibration will not be that much higher, but that interaction will be there. And how that interaction goes, how it whether it increases or decreases, depends on the characteristics of the process and the machine tool. So this chatter is there. So if you talk of the turning operation, for example, showing a turning operation, you can see the three cutting forces, Fx, Fy, Fz, which are called as cutting force, feed force, and thrust force, and single point tool producing a chip. Now what is going to happen? Because of the variation, say in the workpiece property, for example, this, say your depth of cut, that is z direction motion, that depth of cut will change, your chip thickness will change, your force Fz will change. Fz changes, that means your response of the system will again change. So this goes on continuously, and that is why you will have some kind of chatter, that is called as some interaction between the two. So if you talk of the forces, so dynamic cutting force, when I am saying, it will be varying. You can see this is the force that is varying, dynamic cutting force. It is shown purely sinusoidal here. And when you talk of static force, the static force is constant. You assume that the force is constant actually, but in reality that force may be varying. So there can be different forces that come, so static and dynamic force. So cutting forces are going to oscillate. Whether you talk of the Fx, Fy, Fz, any force that you take, that will be having some variation. And these oscillations will change due to the wear of the tool. As the tool edge wears out, your force will change in particular direction, and that will cause again oscillations in the different oscillation, or the oscillation nature of oscillation will slightly change. And this nature, change in nature of the oscillation, can be an indication of the condition of the tool. The dynamic force will depend on the forced and free vibration during cutting. So now you know these terms actually, forced and free vibrations. So force vibration, when I am talking in machining, from where it will come. Free vibration, when I am talking, from where it will come. So free vibration, as we know, is if you have some impact on a body, and then momentary impact is there, momentary impulse is there, and then there is no force acting on the body, then body vibrates on its own. That is called as free vibration. So when such kind of condition will come, say you have a hot spot in the, or a hard spot in the workpiece. So somewhere on this circumference of the workpiece, somewhere here, say there is a hard spot. Hardness is different than the other hardness. So it is relatively very hard. So what will happen when the tool is cutting? It will get sudden impulse, sudden impact there, because it has experienced very high force suddenly. And then there will be constant cutting force, constant cutting action. So that will be kind of free vibration. When I say force vibration, say this spindle or this workpiece is being driven by a spindle. That spindle will have some gear in it, or maybe a belt drive with pulley. Suppose there is a gear and that gear is unbalanced. There is some unbalance in the gear. So this spindle rotation is constantly under a force of unbalance. And that machining is being done under unbalanced gear condition. So that unbalanced force is continuously acting. So that becomes force vibration of the workpiece. So these kind of vibrations can come. And so the whatever dynamic force that you are getting will depend on all these conditions, whether it is there is free vibration and whether there is force vibration, and depending on that particular type of dynamic vibration you will be getting. So when you talk of vibration monitoring in the machine tools or the tools, basically, as we have seen, there are many sources of vibration. The vibration that you get in machining or machine tools will be in the range of 0 to 10 kilohertz frequency. That means in general it is up to this range. It is difficult to identify the frequency range affected by the tool wear. So if you are using a tool, machining you are doing turning. So whether it will be affecting 0 to 1 kilohertz vibration, whether it will be affecting 1 to 2 kilohertz range. So you have to basically find it out. You cannot just tell beforehand that maybe it is affecting this range, because that is going to depend on your machine tool characteristics and the workpiece process characteristics. So type of operation will decide also. So not only the machine tool, the type of operation will come in picture. So for example, turning will be giving certain different kinds of vibration than say milling. So in milling you have a cutter which is rotating. So for example, cutter may be rotating at say 3000 rpm or 1500 rpm, 25 hertz. It may have 10 teeth. So your vibration frequency is 10 into 25, that is 250 hertz. So your frequencies which are there will be changing. In turning, it will be only depending on the rotational speed of the workpiece. So all these ranges of frequency which are going to be affected, they will be decided by the operation. So this frequency, though you may be knowing slightly, but you have to find out which frequency range is basically affected by the wear of tool. So that has to be found experimentally. Now, when we talk of chatter, basically, there are two things which are important or which comes important: natural frequency of the tool holder and its components, because your tool is held by some tool holder. So your tool and tool holder system, and frequency of chip formation. So natural frequency of your tool, basically, you can say, along with the tool holder, and frequency of chip formation is frequency of your machining, you can say. As I said, in milling it will be different, in turning it will be different, in grinding it will be different. So natural frequency comes into picture. Natural frequency not of the whole machine tool as such, but particularly tool and tool holder. So determining the dynamic properties is must. That means before you do any monitoring of the tool for machining purposes, you should know what is the stiffness of the tool and tool holder system, what is the natural frequency of that. So these parameters has to be established beforehand, because that will tell you that which are the frequencies which have to be avoided for this particular tool holder or this particular machine tool. Chip formation frequency can be calculated. As I said, for example, it is milling, then that is called as, because milling has a tooth passing frequency, that is said, tooth pass frequency or This is normally number of teeth, NT I will say, multiplied by the RPM or rotation per second, you can see if you want it in hertz. So number of cutting edges on the tool multiplied by the rotational speed, that gives the tooth passing frequency for the milling cutter. So depending on number of cutting edges on the tool, that will be changing, and as soon as your speed changes, that is also changing. So these frequencies, chip formation frequency can be established, but the natural frequency of the system you have to determine by experimentation. Then what is meant by chatter? Just we'll have some information about that. As I have said earlier, these are self-excited vibration because of interaction between the cutting process and the machine tool. And cutting process interaction, basically chip thickness comes in picture, because as soon as chip thickness changes, your forces will change. And what is said, it begins, that is, the chatter begins when cutting forces excite the natural frequency of the tool or tool workpiece system. So you know that whenever some frequency is there, means something is going on at certain frequency, if that frequency matches with the natural frequency of the system, you have resonance. Resonance will produce large amplitudes, and if that happens in case of tool, large amplitudes of tool oscillation will mean very rough surface of cutting. So you will be getting a wavy pattern on the workpiece surface, which will not be acceptable. So this interaction basically may result into resonance of the tool workpiece system and the tool workpiece system, basically because of the cutting forces. So you get some wavy surface form, and this cycle is repeated, and you get a very rough surface ultimately. This is called as regenerative chatter. So you take one cut, you get some waviness form. You take next cut again. Now next cut actually increases this waviness on the surface. This goes on happening. You get a large roughness on the surface. That is called as regenerative chatter. Now, every time this may not happen, because there are two things which are coming. Results in varying chip thickness, and this is depending on phase difference in the waves. One wave or one frequency is your cutting frequency, and one frequency is your natural frequency. So the two things, how they are, what is the phase difference between them, whether it is adding, whether the amplitude is adding to one another or whether it is subtracting. So that will depend on the phase angle between the two. But if they add, you get a very large amplitude of oscillation of the tool, and that will be called a chatter. Ultimately, if the amplitude is very high, the tool will break. Now, if you talk of acoustic emission, so we have seen what are the sources of vibration, what can happen because of vibration. And vibration can be a good indicator of the condition of the tool. So now coming to the acoustic emission. So acoustic emission, basically it is a stress wave, basically high frequency wave that is happening in the tool or in the contact between the tool and workpiece. Now you know that in machining there is a plastic deformation. Now this plastic deformation, and there are different zones. You know there is a primary cutting zone, secondary cutting zone, and like that, primary shear zone that we call secondary shear zone. So if your workpiece, you have a shear plane here, and this zone somewhere here we call as the primary shear zone. Then there is a secondary shear zone on this side, and there is tertiary shear zone on this side, and so on. So depending on where this interaction is happening, you will be getting certain acoustic wave, that means some certain stress waves from the tool. Plastic deformation in the workpiece during the cutting process. So workpiece itself gets deformed. So you can see these are the arrows which are shown here. Plastic deformation in the chip. So this is shown here. friction contact between tool flank face and workpiece. So this is your flank face and workpiece interaction on the flank side. Then contact between the rake face, so rake face and the chip. So you have 4 different regions which will be responsible for the acoustic wave. Also, there can be collisions between the chip and tool. So chip is hitting with the tool, that can happen. There can be chip breakage, what is shown in the figure, and there can be tool fracture. Now, out of these various sources, some actions or some acoustics waves will be a regular feature. For example, plastic deformation in the workpiece. So when you are cutting, that is a continuous process. That will never stop. But when I say chip breakage will happening intermittently. Similarly, tool fracture may happen once in a while. So these waves will be having at certain instant. It will not be continuous wave. Based on the characteristics of the wave, one can find out whether the condition is deteriorated or it has worn out and all that. So that can be used for getting the information. So when you use AE, acoustic emission, we detect tool fracture because that will be an instantaneous wave. It will be happening only once. You can detect tool wear, so that will be a gradual. So contact between the chip and tool at the crater, at the flank face and the rake face, that will be monitored continuously. And then based on the change in the acoustic wave, we can decide how much the tool wear has taken place. You can decide lubrication failure, that is lubrication or cutting fluid that you are using, whether it is there or not. Chip form chatter also can be determined, whether there is chatter formation, that also can be decided. It can also identify problems like burr, surface finish, dimensional variation, and so on. But major problem we are focusing on the tool. So when we talk of signals, as I have said earlier, these signals can be continuous or it can be transient. Some pulse you get. So these AE signals, when they are continuous, these can be signals from the shaft tool. So there will be some different nature of signal from the wand tool. So you will be getting some variation in the signal. Similarly, breakage, if you talk of transient signal, it can be breakage of the chip, it can be breakage of the tool. So based on the type of signal, one can judge what is going on. We already seen this continuous signal, transient signal. This AE signal range is more than 20 kilohertz. Vibration signal was something around 10 kilohertz. So the frequency of the signal is quite high, more than 20. That means beyond your scope of hearing, audible, beyond the audible range. Then apart from vibration, acoustic emission, one can also measure forces. And some of you who have done, say, machining, you must have measured forces using dynamometers. Obviously, what will happen if the tool is wearing out, cutting force will increase. Depending on the component that you take, you will find certain increase in the forces. And this is natural. Dynamic and static force component increase with tool wear due to frictional effects. Each component will respond uniquely to varying parameters and different wear modes. So, 3 components you are having. You talk of oblique machining, oblique cutting. Then every force will be having different variation based on the machining action that you are taking. Again, that will depend on the process and operating condition. Then there will be variation due to dynamic effects of the machine tool and measurement equipment. Remember, measurement equipment also has some dynamic behavior. Whatever forces it is subjected to, it will respond to those forces. So it has certain dynamic patterns or dynamic behavior also. That will also decide what kind of output you are getting. You can use various sensor configurations. You may be using vibration sensor, you may be using temperature sensor, force measurement, you may be using AE measurement. So different sensors can be used together to find out the condition of tool. So tool dynameters can be there. You can use strain gauges directly. You can use various things to measure the forces. These dynameters are quite costly relatively. You can measure vibration. Mostly it is acceleration that you measure. So acceleration measurement is more suitable or more correct for frequencies which are higher, 1 kilohertz or more. Better performance at high frequency than dynameter. That means if your cutting action is happening at high frequency, the response of the dynameter force that may not be giving you correct reading. So then your vibration response will be a better indicator as compared to force. Accelerations are quite strong, quite robust. So harsh condition doesn't have any impact on them. Less cost than dynameters. A good quality dynameter may cost you 30-40 lakhs, maybe more than 50 lakhs also, depending on the make. But a good accelerometer may be costing you only maybe 1.5 to 2 lakhs. So cost difference is too high. Acceleration level are going to change with the wear of the tool. So acceleration is directly related to the wear of the tool. So you can correlate that. And you can extract the required information by using proper processing tools. If you are doing AE measurement, as I said earlier, that AE frequencies are much higher, more than 20 kilohertz. So you need special sensor again. It is a different sensor, just similar to accelerometer, but frequency ranges are quite high. You can see here the sensor is mounted on this shade tool. So this is basically showing a chain of measurement. You have some buffer, then you have some filters, high pass, low pass filter, amplifiers to amplify the signal, record and process. So normally nowadays all these things which are shown, they are integrated in the sensor itself. You don't need separate hardware for this. So sensors, bandpass filters, amplifiers, etc. are built inside the sensor nowadays. So when we talk of tool wear and you are measuring AE, acoustic emission, we are interested in the sliding friction between the tool and the workpiece. And because that is a tool will wear out, so this nature of this friction will change and that will give you a different acoustic wave. So that is why this wave will indicate you wear of the tool. Cutting temperature will be also affecting these waves. If there is too much variation, you will be getting again variation in the acoustic level. It is highly dependent on the cutting conditions, because assuming that your cutting conditions are same, so cutting conditions same means your cutting temperature also not going to change much, then wear of the tool will be the only factor which will be affecting your acoustic wave. Normally RMS value of the wave is measured and that is found to be a good indicator of the condition of the tool. Now when you get the data, you will have lot of data. Basically it is data of time first that you get and then you convert into frequencies. So some such kind of signal you will be getting. You can see this is showing a force versus time plot, and again you can see there are various values, are mean value, arithmetic mean, RMS, that is root mean square, then threshold means the limiting value of the tool wear permissible, you can say, or the force permissible is maximum this much. So beyond that it is going, that means your tool has worn out. That is an indication. Maximum value, that is what is the peak of that signal. So different parameters are used for that. One term is there that is called as envelope of the signal. So you can see if you track a curve on this, you put a cap on this, so that will be called as the envelope of the signal. Many times we also use envelope for finding out various problems. So various parameters can be used. You can use mean, you can use RMS values, maximum value, minimum value, and different indicators are there. You may find maybe 50 indicators used by various people. Commercial softwares, commercial tool condition monitoring softwares are available. They use all such features, what is called as time domain. That means signal is in terms of time, amplitude versus time. Now I'll not go in details of this signal. You can have various values, RMS, crest factor, form factor, definitions are there. One can find out these values and find out their correlation with the QR. Then there can be frequency domain features that can be used. Basically, you convert the signal into frequency. So for example, what is mean by that, I will show you. You have a sinusoid like this. So this is time, so this is your time, and this is your amplitude. Now this sinusoid is having, so if I convert into frequency versus amplitude, this has only one frequency, so I will be getting one frequency based on what is the cycle time for this. If there are such two waves, I will be getting two frequencies. If there are 5 waves which are mixed together, I will be getting 5 frequencies. If there are 10 waves like this mixed, I will be getting 10 frequencies. So all this frequency information is obtained by using what is called as a Fourier transform that you must have learned. And normally we use what is called as a FFT algorithm, fast Fourier transform, to reduce the computational time and to get the output in terms of frequency versus amplitude. So this is all mathematics behind that. So I will not go into details of that. We normally use the discrete Fourier transform because we calculate using digital platforms. FFT actually reduces your time of calculation, or number of calculations, so it is more suitable, or that is why it is popular. So this is what I say. You have a time signal which may be appearing like this, and in frequency you may get certain frequencies which are highlighted. So I tell you that this is 3, 4, 5 frequencies are there. So this signal is basically consisting of 5 frequencies. So addition of 5 sine waves, you can say. So those sine frequencies are shown separately in the frequency plot that is called a spectrum. So again, this is showing the same thing. This is a time signal. This is the actual signal that is there. You can see some frequencies being highlighted. So there is shown different frequencies. That is the advantage of the frequency analysis that we take. Now there are again various parameters which can be used in frequency domain. There are amplitude spectrum, power spectrum, coherence, autocorrelation, cross correlation. So I will not go into mathematics and details of that. You can use time domain technique. You can use frequency domain analysis to find out the signal. Now what happens actually? This is showing some frequency domain feature of some signal. You can say this force Fx, Fy, Fz. That is 3 forces which are shown in terms of their frequency and the amplitude of the force. You may find that energy of certain bands in the spectrum is used for monitoring features. So this spectrum is up to 1500 Hz. But you will not find much change in the spectrum throughout the all frequencies. You will find that change has happened in certain frequencies only. This is shown here. In this band, what is shown as A, there is no change or not much change. In band B, you see much change. So depending on your signal that you get, you have to analyze which frequency band has been actually affected, and then that band you focus, and maybe you can take ratios of A and B and all that. You can find out different ways of interpreting that to get some indication of the tool wear. So this is showing actually method of using ratio of A and B. This has been classified at 0 to 4 kilohertz and 4 to 8 kilohertz. If lower range is sensitive to tool wear, and one is sensitive, one is not sensitive, then depending on that, you will be identifying particular range and identifying the parameter or identifying the condition of tool. There are certain limitations whatever analysis you do. Okay, I'll skip this part because we don't have much time. Then you can go for statistical processing. All these vibrations or signal that you get, they are probabilistic distribution. There is random process actually. So you can use many statistical features like variance, standard deviations, skewness, kurtosis, etc. to get the information about the signal, descriptor of the signal, which may indicate you that with wear of the tool, what is the indication value, what is the value of the index, without wear, what is the value of the index, how the index is changing. So that will tell you some behavior of the signal. There are some time frequency methods which are available. So combining time and frequency domain together, one popular method is use of Wavelet transform or Gilbert transform or time frequency, short time frequency Fourier transform that we say. So that signal you can see now, frequency versus time. Earlier what we have seen, amplitude versus time or amplitude versus frequency. Now it is frequency versus time. So you can see certain patterns here. So this tells you what is happening at particular frequency and with time. So that information is combined. This is slightly complicated mathematically, but that is also used for getting information about the tool condition. So depending on the method that you use, a particular transform will be used and the analysis can be performed. Then there is one more domain that is called as F-sum domain or Q-frequency domain. Basically, it is inverse Fourier transform of log of the spectrum. So again, this is more popular actually in case of gear diagnosis. What happens that is shown here. So you can see this is the amplitude versus the frequency. So cycles per minute is nothing but frequency. And if you take a Fourier transform, that inverse transform and log and all that, you get certain features highlighted, certain frequencies highlighted, which will indicate you fault. So this is actually, as I said, more useful in gear, not much suitable for the tool monitoring. So now you have measured, say, force, you have measured vibration, you have measured sound or acoustic emission, maybe you have measured temperature and all that. Then again, for vibration, you have say found what is the value of RMS, mean value, skewness value, kurtosis value. So various parameters you find out. Then which parameter is going to give you a better relation with the tool wear? So that can be found out by various ways. You will find various techniques are used by researchers like principal component, statistical overlap. Various methods are used to classify or to select particular parameter basically and then classify it, whether it is giving good condition or a bad condition. So basically you look at certain features of the signal. Basically we are interested in whether the signal is indicating the condition of the tool or that RMS value if I am taking, whether that value is indicating condition of tool or not. So based on that we'll be selecting certain parameters. Then as you gather various parameters, what one can do is what is called as a trending. For example, here what is shown is a Planck pair of the tool and feature value of the parameter. That means whatever feature you have selected. So if you have selected RMS value of vibration, this may be RMS value of vibration. It may be RMS value of acoustic emission. It may be temperature. So with the wear of the tool, how the parameter is changing. that is called as trending. And this is showing some limit, warning of the threshold and threshold for replacement. So based on their experience, based on the requirement of the machining, one can decide what should be threshold warning and replacement warning. So it means that as soon as you cross this level, these points indicate that now your wear has exceeded the permissible limit and it needs replacement, tool needs replacement. So trending is one simple method. Apart from that, you can use many other AI-based techniques for classification of the data, because many times such simple kind of trending may not be possible. So you may use neural network and other kind of networks to find out the condition of the tool, whether the tool is acceptable or not acceptable and all that. So I'll be not going to details of neural networks and so on. So I'll skip this part because you can use various methods actually. Effective methods for TCM are force, acceleration, and acoustic emission. Then we have seen the requirement of the sensor, how they should be installed, some basic idea of signal processing. You can use certain techniques like neural network, fuzzy logic, hidden Markov models, etc. for decision making. There is scope for wear sensitive sensors and incorporating numerical machining models into wear monitoring system to normalize the data with respect to machining parameters. So there is some scope in this research. You can try various parameters actually, and one can go to the next level actually for research. So for this part, for the tool condition monitoring, I'll stop here. Maybe I have covered slightly faster because we don't have much time. So I think there are some queries in the chat box. So just I'll try to answer and then I'll go to some case studies. From Rishal Kashyap, asking how can we select which parameter is most crucial for the proper working and life of tool. Now, which parameter, that is actually the task when you are doing condition monitoring of the tool. We have to first decide which parameter is most sensitive or which parameter is good, which relates to tool wear. That has to be found out actually. Vibration is normally good. Acoustic emission is also good. These are known. But again, in vibration, whether it should be taken as RMS value or whether it should be taken as skewness or kurtosis, that has to be found out. And to give importance if cost is constrained. So basically, we have to find which parameter is indicating wear more correctly. That is the thing. And vibration and AE are good. Force is also good, but force has limitation that for high frequency it is not sufficient. Can we rely on secondary data for various processes and parameters? We can rely in some cases, not in all cases. Vibration is basically, you can say, secondary kind of parameter. Will preheating of the workpiece have any effect on machinability of hard machine alloys in case we are using PVD coated insert? Obviously, preheating will have effect because any heating will soften the workpiece, whatever insert you are using. So your cutting forces, etc., will be reduced. That is going to be there. So I think there are only 2 questions here. If there is any question, you please ask. I will share some case studies briefly in maybe 10 minutes. So if there are no questions on this particular tool monitoring, I will just show you some case studies which are related to manufacturing in general. So I share with you how this condition monitoring or monitoring techniques can be used in manufacturing. Such maybe those who are from VNIT, they know this. Manufacturing of transmission gearbox and its testing that is done in automobile industry. There are two photographs from Mahindra and Mahindra Nagpur and Ashok Leyland Bhandara. Tractor gearbox or Ashok Leyland produces the truck gearbox, truck transmission system. So after assembly of the entire gearbox, what they do, they put it on a test setup. That means they engage the gearbox with some drive. The motor is there, and this gearbox is connected to some electric motor, and various gears are engaged, and the noise or the sound emitted by the gearbox is tested. And this method basically depends on the operator. That means the operator hears the sound of the gearbox, and based on the sound emitted by the gearbox, he decides whether the assembly can be cleared or it needs some repairs or it needs some correction. This method is common not only in India, in every automobile industry. This is a method which is followed. So basically, it is a method based on human hearing ability of sound. So the operators are trained every year. Their medical checkup is done every year to check whether the ears are functioning properly and all that. But the method is purely manual. Inspection is manual, and about 3% gearboxes are rejected because of that hearing ability. So, and this is in the assembly line. Remember, this is a manufacturing assembly line. So what we have tried to do, we are trying to automate this process using vibration measurement and sound measurement. So we measured sound. We have suggested this method that we can measure sound and vibration, and then based on the data of vibration and sound, one can possibly classify whether the assembly is correctly done. So you have to engage various gears actually, run the machine, engage, measure sound and vibration, and find out whether that can be accepted or not accepted. So the dependence on the human operator can be eliminated, because this is why the errors can happen. When you are depending on somebody's ability to hear, there can be errors. So we are focused on this task. So it's a real problem in manufacturing which can be solved by monitoring the condition or using the condition monitoring method. So what we have done, we have used some psychoacoustics techniques for the identification of the gear problem. So now this problem is different. We have done some artificial setup and all that, and we have tried to find out the problems in the gearbox or no problem in the gearbox using some methods. We have used ANN method, but we have used what is called as psychoacoustics method. That is, psychoacoustic is basically our hearing ability is described in terms of certain indices. So harshness of the sound, loudness of the sound, and all that. So using those parameters, we have tried to, you can say, suggest a method for tackling this problem of assembly error detection. Then this is also based on the same thing, online intelligent multi-fault diagnosis using virtual instrumentation for end of assembly line inspection of gearbox. So this is a problem of manufacturing assembly line. Then we have used ANN and ANFIS tools for that classification basically. So some certain LabVIEW based method was developed. So different knobs are made. So based on the acceptance or rejection, particular green light or red light will be blown, and you can identify the condition of the gear. Another work similar to that. End of assembly line gearbox fault inspection using ANN support vector machine. Now the technique is different. Then here also we have again used that psychoacoustics, acoustics and vibration feature for fault correlation and classification. This was again to basically focusing on the assembly line problem. Then in this work, Yogesh and others they have done. We have tried to find out or correlate roughness, surface roughness, basically with force, sound, and vibration. So this is showing you how the measurement or monitoring can be correlated to machining response, that is surface roughness. So this is experimental setup and all that. In this paper, this is basically improvement in machinability by cryogenic technique of cryogenic treatment of tool. Again, we have monitored the forces, we have monitored vibration, and we have monitored the temperature. So different parameters can be monitored. So you can get this paper online also. Similarly, on machining, we have done again use of ANN for estimating the roughness using force, sound, and vibration in the turning operation. So monitoring can be used to find out particular or predict particular parameter. That is what I want to say. Then same we have used advanced algorithms for improving the machining performance, again by monitoring certain parameters like force, sound, and vibration. Then different material we have focused, that is titanium, again using various monitoring parameters. Power consumption, material removal rate, surface roughness, and tool wear. That was monitored. So power consumption was measured. I think we have set up this instrument was connected to the spindle drive and we measured the power while cutting, and that power was correlated with the various parameters, that is roughness and tool wear, etc. So again here different algorithms we have used. Here basically the condition monitoring of tool. This was purely based on the tool using artificial neural network. So this student basically has done or measured vibration response for different wear conditions of the tool, and then we have tried to predict the performance of the tool. So as you know, in neural network we have training and testing. So after training we can predict the condition of the tool once you have data with you. You can use different monitoring methods actually. In manufacturing, I have shown particularly in machining. So I'll stop here. If you have any questions, you are welcome.
Thank you, sir. There are few queries in the chat box. People have written.
Earlier questions I have asked.
Earlier questions you have done. Yes, yes. Amit has asked some question which you have discussed. Okay. Any queries people can write in their chat box, please. There is one more query has come.
How can we relate between the result we are getting during the lab experimentation with industrial level? The machining experimentation, if you are doing, that is whether you are doing in industry or lab, that is a real machining that you have to do. So that should not be much problem. Only thing in lab we have certain environment is, you can say, better controlled. So same dynamometer, same vibration setup you can take to industry and take measurement. There is no problem in that. If you are using some classification technique like ANN, then that can be trained. So based on the lab data or industry data, you can train it and then that will be able to identify the conditions of the tools or whatever element that you want to check. So if you take a direct industrial data, it can be directly correlated. There is no problem. Even machining lab-based data also you can correlate, because machining actually you are doing. It is not that something which is not done. As far as the gearbox that we have seen, the Ashok Leyland or Mahindra related problem, that we simulated in lab, because the industries were not ready to provide access to their data. If the industries are ready to give their data, that can be applied. Same technique can be applied. I hope I have answered.
Any other query?
I think there is no query now.
So,
like
but still, I will be sharing the speaker details, email addresses also. If you have any queries,
Yes.
you can always write an email.
Surely.
Yes, sir. Okay. If you don't have query, then we will thank the speaker, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for the very informative session. And if the participants have any doubts or queries, they can write email to you, sir.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for giving me opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And let us. Okay, yes, sir. You want to tell something?
Thank you. Thanks for the participant also for
Okay.
their patient hearing.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So we will end this session at this location, and we are going to meet at 2:25 for the next session by Dr. Sheetal Chiddarwar. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.